for Kavita Mendonca to come in.
Well, we have wonderfully begun with God's blessings, with God in our midst, and let us officially begin today. We can't sit around and wait for someone else to make world peace happen. Our best chance of a peaceful future is through education. Hence, I once again welcome you all to the World Peace Summit 2021. Rest in Peace versus Live in Peace. Voice of Teachers, organized by the 3H Foundation. 3H Companion, an organization, aims at helping and guiding individuals as if answering their problems about work, life skills, and management with 3H, head, heart, and hand. It doesn't teach, but lives its thought, and the intensity changes others. Love, respect, patience, good laws, and fair justice are the best instruments. It believes in working together and succeeding with integrity. Develop education by empowering students, parents, and teachers socially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and professionally through workshops, sessions, and training programs with a vision to create passion with compassion and more lives. In 2007, it stepped with almost 50 members, those who want to learn, sing, and rock beyond books in 3 months to develop personal and spiritual skills with a mission, each one, teach one. It has now risen to thousands, small steps of each member from different places and professions made a big contribution in the field of humanity to create a difference in self and others' lives. They prefer to connect than to simply contact. A hearty welcome to all of you in this world of wonders. The founder and director of this esteemed organization is Miss Chanchal Bhargava, an edu lover, a motivational speaker, teacher, trainer, psychological counselor, a blogger, and spiritual wellness coach who enjoys her passion as a communicator, helping and guiding individuals about work, life skills, and management with 3H, that is, head, heart, and hand. She has worked with 500 plus people online on youth mentorship, EI, women empowerment, leadership, management skills, say no to stress, depression, and suicidal attempts, and organized various events like Education to Civilization, Vidambana, wow, that is World of Wonders, Jeevan Geet, art exhibition, and many more. Udan, a career guidance project, Students Ki Pathshala, skills development, and Wings of Women, skill empowerment project are upcoming. She develops education in rural areas of Bundelkhand with an NGO. She envisages a virtual mini university for overall growth and holistic development of all individuals with human values, freedom, and creative ideology. National and international awardee, but believes getting a space or place in every heart is the best award. For her, life is a Wi-Fi connection, somewhere weak, somewhere strong. The only need is to get connected and stay connected. Her articles and messages are published in some of the famous magazines like Window to the Future, Wednesday Times, and Spiritual Connect, Inner Reflections. She firmly believes in human empowerment and the power of love to raise and rise, embracing all the 3H, 3As, and 3Cs to love, express, raise, and march with the purpose of spreading peace and happiness across the globe. Let us now listen to Miss Chanchal Bhargava. Ma'am, the stage is yours. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Thank you, Kavita, for your wonderful introduction and frame articulately. You have introduced all the things which are into and which I'm going to learn. I'm a constant learner and seeker. So today itself, there are panelists with us from whom we are going to learn more. Before I begin, can I request all to enchant with me a prayer song, a few lines. इतनी शक्ति हमें देना दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना. इतनी शक्ति हमें देना दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना. हम चले एक रास्ते पे हमसे भूल कर भी कोई भूल हो ना. इतनी शक्ति हमें देना दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर हो ना. So these are few lines which we all know, we all say, we all enchant, but do we ever find? Do we ever find? What do we get when we sing this, when we enchant these? Don't we find peace? Don't we feel relaxed and motivating for giving more, for creating more, with more passion, with more zeal? And that's what we educators are meant for. We are here whom people are looking upon for introducing, instilling, and creating peace. So why are we waiting for? And what are we waiting for? Peace is everywhere, starting from within, from A to Z, what we teach, what we learn from everywhere. So just sharing with you my ideology of A to Z, my experiences in that pious teaching, training, and counseling profession. I prefer A, making awareness, instilling awareness within me, that is self-awareness, and creating in our surroundings as well. To make our students, peers, parents believe in us, our creativity, in our ideas, our thoughts and strategies, develop dedication among the students. It also develops empathy, which is very, very necessary to know about others' feeling and react. Fun, humor, gratitude in our attitude keeps the environment holistic and ideal with 3H, as already mentioned, head, heart, and hand. Jolly phonics, kinesthetic learning, full of motivation, newness in our programs, optimistic approaches, passionating work with a quest reinforcing sensorial learning, helping to search for talents and understanding concepts. If we make our children visualize the situation to find and then to react, it would be wonderful and winsome approaches. It's go beyond your books or syllabus. Give them something extra from surroundings. The sky is all theirs. Make them believe that the sky is all theirs with the time which you always takes between you and them. And then finally you will be with zeal to give more, because more you give, more you receive. And that's what is peace. We find peace in body, mind, and soul. So Hare Krishna from Chanchal, and we can continue with our panelists.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Yes, you rightly mentioned peace begins within ourselves. It starts with us. Thank you for your insights. I now request Ms. Kavita Sangvi, Principal of CNM School, to introduce the summit. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And I would just like to start with the Gita Shloka. Prashanta manasam yenam yoginam sukhamattamam upaiti shantarajasam brahma bhutam akalmasham. So it says that supreme bliss verily comes to the yogi whose mind is calm, whose passions are pacified, who has become one with Brahman, and who is sinless. Imagine if everyone could rein in their passion, remain calm in front of storms, and refrain from committing acts of sin. Then how would the world look around? Yes, this is a world which we all aspire and dream of. Each one of us desire peace in our heart and mind, but somewhere we are not able to strike that balance. We are so driven by desires that the line gets blurred between what is right and what is wrong. And finally, our lives become a rat race, competing with one another. Finally, we end up wishing the dead to rest in peace. But this COVID time is actually driving home the truth. Embrace peace, strike a balance, and you will achieve supreme happiness. Thus, the summit, Rest in Peace versus Live in Peace, to promote global peace. Together, we can be a very strong force. I wish you all peace and harmony. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was indeed very insightful. Next, we have our keynote speaker, Mr. Peter Ferris, the founder of Ring of Peace. In 2016, Peter Ferris was chosen as one of the top 50 teachers in the world and became a Varkey Teachers Ambassador. He's been asked to talk and advise various conferences around the world, including the inaugural OXSCIE event for the Aga Khan Foundation at Oxford University. Peter Ferris was invited to the 2018 National Teacher Leadership Conference in Las Vegas to talk, teach, and inspire the winning teachers chosen by NNSTOY in every state in USA. The method that Peter has created is aimed to help adults and young students affected by conflict and post-conflict. Peter has also taught masterclasses in Los Angeles and has also taught on webinars to teachers throughout America. Peter's main masterclasses focus on screen acting and theater acting, LAMDA. Let us listen to his address. Over to you, Mr. Peter Ferris.
Hi, everybody. Hello, and bless you all. I'm deeply humbled and honored to be here. I will explain myself and my background, but I want to say to all of you teachers, in no way I'm here to tell you and teach you how to teach. I'm going to tell you, I've been teaching for 36 years. I'm going to tell you some of the things that just continue to work for me and to see if there's a way that you think maybe those things can be useful for you. So just to start, my background, I was born in 1967 in Belfast, Northern Ireland. The conflict there began in 1969 and ran through until the peace process began in 1998. Just to let you know how that conflict was, because I don't think a lot of people really understand, because it's in the United Kingdom. On Belfast is a very small place, but on one day in 1972, on one day in an 80-minute period, we had 20 bombs explode. The conflict went on to cause many deaths. Lots of terrible things happened. And the peace process has lasted up until now. It's continuing, it's growing, but right now we actually have more rioting going on. What people don't understand is that in Belfast, there is actually a wall. There's a wall which is called the Peace Wall, believe it or not. It is 20 foot high. It has barbed wire on the top, and it keeps Protestants and Catholics apart. There are gates that close, and if you've seen the news this week, you will have seen stones and petrol bombs being thrown over that wall right now. There's 13 schools on that wall, and again, what people don't understand is that the schools are segregated. Protestant and Catholic students go to separate schools. I gave a talk at the United Nations for Martin Luther King Day. Incredible people that I spoke to there, who had been knew Martin Luther King, were part of that. They couldn't believe that we still had segregation, which we do. So I went back in, in 1985, I was very lucky, went to London, got in the oldest performing arts school in the world, became head boy there, and started teaching, had a career in acting and filmmaking as well, and directing. But basically in 2008, I knew I'd had mentors, people that had held my hand, and it was my turn. I went back to Northern Ireland 1 week a month, and I knew that I could use acting and the creative arts to bring the communities together and bring people together. We started just doing scenes that got people to open up and talk, and that was great. But then we decided, we came up with a plan. We could make films on smartphones, and we actually made one, which was a vampire film. Okay, you can see it. You can go to Ferris Entertainment.tv, and it's called Cold Blood. But what we did was we thought, we make a vampire film. What we can do, right? The vampires are pretending that they're hiding their killings in making it look like paramilitary killings or gang killings. That was just the backbone. But what it did was it allowed the students and the adults of both communities. We improvised bits of it, okay, before we wrote the script, to find how the script would work. And what happened was they started talking about their own experiences. They started talking about their own fears. They started talking about the potential of having no choice but to join whichever side they were from. As we are seeing even today, it's the young people throwing stones with the adults cheering them on. What happened with it, you can see that film, and you can see how that it brought people. What was amazing was they started to realize that whatever side they were on, their story was the same. But they thought that the other person, they'd been brought up, they'd been indoctrinated. And the indoctrination continues on. The biggest problem we have now is, even in the peace process, the third generation, we have the highest level of teenage suicides in Europe. And that is because they know that is the effect of the conflict. We brought in ex-servicemen. And so we had ex-servicemen in there talking about, and who were suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And they were telling their stories. And I actually said, listen, you have to tell this story. This is incredible. They would tell us after the classes, and we'd sit, we'd have a drink, whatever. And suddenly I said, we got them to write a script. We made a film. You'll be able to see that film as well. We put that together. But amazing things happened. So, for example, one ex-fireman, right, chief fire crew, was telling a story about how during the conflict, they were trying to put out fires. They were being lured in order for the youths to attack them, and they had stones thrown at them, petrol bombs thrown at them. They had guns put at their necks, and we had a moment. And every time I tell this story, I have to try not to cry. But we had a moment where, once the fireman had told that story, one of the teenage boys, who was from an area where he knew if he'd have been at the same time, at the same age, he would have been one of those people throwing the stones and throwing the petrol bombs. And the two of them got up and they hugged and they cried. And the young lad said, "We never thought of you as people." And what we did was we gave them the chance to see the other side. We showed them how that could work. And that's the incredible thing about that way of teaching. You must be brave enough to let them speak. You must listen, right? And even especially when they say something which you go, oh, you shouldn't be saying that. That's the time to be quiet, because you will be amazed how wise young people are and how they will discuss it and how they will find and discuss both sides. That's the incredible bit. And it's and so with the post-traumatic stress disorder, we then set up the Fight Back Awards. You can see that on the ringofpeace.org. Click on that. That's for the film festival in the United Kingdom, with ex-servicemen with post-traumatic stress disorder, explaining their mental health problems and and that came about from that. Then in 2014, an incredible man came to me, and he had an idea called the Ring of Peace. He had an idea which was, could we get a sentence, could we get a message of peace passed right around the world on one day, the UN Day of Peace, 21st of September. This wonderful man, Robin Dunseith, unfortunately died a few years ago, and he would have loved it. He would have been so proud of me talking, and he would have been here as well. And I said, you're missing a trick here, Robin. You're missing a trick. You're just talking about a phone call. There are smartphones. Let's film the message, get people filming themselves and the message going around the world. So what we do every year, a month before that, we ask for suggestions of a message of peace. We ask for the suggestions and we choose the winning sentence of peace. This year, the sentence was, I pray that this pandemic mutates into a peace virus, right? I pray that this virus, COVID virus, mutates into a peace virus, which was brilliant, okay? And that went all around the world, and we filmed it, and we get it back. And again, please look at the ringofpeace.org. Click on those videos. You can see every single year we went through from 2014 to we continue on. 2018, we were recognized by Her Majesty's government for our work for peace. That was really humbling for that. And then this year, obviously with the pandemic and being a global teacher ambassador, and incredible teachers, Ken and Kavita and all the people that were part of it, we discovered very early on that students needed to be heard, teachers needed to be heard, and parents needed to be heard. I contacted all of the film festivals that I'm linked to and friends that I have around the world and said, will you be part of this? And they immediately said yes. It was incredible. So we had film festival in the UK, Ramsgate International Film Festival. We had film festivals throughout India, we had film festivals in Russia, at the Cannes Film Festival in France, and obviously we had our thing. Now, what we did each month, we found another subject to get students to talk about. So what we did, so every year now in Russia, we are having a song for peace, and we had incredible entries for songs, and the lyrics that were written were amazing. We had a dance. We created one for dance, which were hugs that, distant hugs and hugs that we've missed. And again, that worked for peace as well. There were films. We linked to the 9th Global Journalist Awards, and we had stories about journalism, and story, an amazing one from Albania about blood feuds that is a continuation on from medieval times, and again, it was giving people that chance to open up and tell those stories. So the fact is, in order to bring peace in order to get your students to talk about peace, there are so many ways, be it songs, be it dance, be it acting, right, be it journalism, be it whatever. Just let that though be the backbone. Let that be the backbone, and then let them talk and let them open up. And that, it, as I say, for 36 years, my experience has been as how this has grown. And so I've taught on the Peace Line. I teach every once once a month on the Peace Line. We bring students from both sides together. They now do acting exams and they get qualifications, which gives them UCAS points, which helps them to university. These exams help with communication. It's not just acting, but we have an amazing thing, which I just leave you with this thought, which is one of the parts of the exam which they can do includes Shakespeare. And when I explain to my Northern Ireland students, we explain Shakespeare's time, and most people don't get it. And it's about, in Shakespeare's time, obviously, the trauma, the fear because of that Catholic kings and queens taking over, becoming Protestant kings and queens, never sure whether you're talking to a Protestant or a Catholic, having to be careful about what you say, having to be wary about that. When I tell my students, guess what? We're still living it. Northern Ireland hasn't, we're still living it. And suddenly they look at Shakespeare in a different way. Oh my God, Romeo and Juliet, right? Montague and Catholic can be Catholic and Protestant. And they start to look at those scenes and they start to see that the other side, I could be like them. Even though I'm Catholic and the character I'm playing is Protestant, that's exactly my, and we open all of those up. They suddenly adore it. But again, we're still living that. We're still going through that. And it opens those students up. And I truly hope that what I've said inspires you to find ways to allow that conversation to open up. And as I said, the bravest thing that you do is listen, because the weirdest thing about school, it's the only place that you get in trouble for talking, really. And really, it should be the safest place for you to talk, right? It should be the place where you ask why. You should be allowed to ask, why is this wrong? Instead of not be told, it is, shut up. You should be told why. Let them ask why. Because if they don't ask why, then they grow up and then you get bitter people and difficult because they don't understand. Those are the difficult conversations. But in fact, they're not difficult. And over the 36 years, they're not, you'd be amazed. And you see how emotional I am. And the amount of times I've cried listening to these young people or older people together saying something, and you just think, I just lit you up. I just lit you up. And once you light a student up, they never, ever, ever can go back. And that's the magic of it. And thank you so much for giving me this chance to speak. I hope some of that might be useful and might open up conversations with yourself. But bless you and thank you all. Bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Peter Perez. Your words really, I think, opened up all our minds. Yes, we teachers do tend to speak to our students, but we need to give them a chance to speak, to have dialogue. I think only then this world will be a better place. Well, moving on to the crux of today's event, which is the Peace Summit. We tell the dead to rest in peace. Then we should worry about the living to live in peace. I would say that the phrase resting in peace reflects our essential laziness when it comes to peace. Peace is hard. It's difficult. It's not easy. The lazy approach is to fight battles and defer peace to something we can rest in when we are too tired in the afterlife. What is the priority of pedagogy for peace in the 21st century? Do we teach cultures and philosophies of peace at schools only to start new wars and conflicts? Is education for peace still a top priority in universities and colleges? And finally, does education help us to live a peaceful life and to bring peace around the world? These questions need to be in our awareness on a daily basis. Only then can we treat people, nature, and most life in itself in a more emphatic manner. Today, we take this discussion forward with our esteemed panelists. Our first panelist is Mrs. Aditi Vazandar, the Vice Principal
Hello.
of CNM School, with a teaching experience of approximately 19 years at CNM. She's been an assessor for the ICSE board, very approachable and sincere with all the students who are being taught by her. Her smile lights up every person she meets. Welcome, Ms. Aditi Vazandar.
Thank you so much, Kavita.
Then we have Mr. Abhinandan Bhattacharya. He's currently teaching English language and literature at the CAIE and IBDP levels at JBCN International School, Oshiwara, Mumbai. He has several professional merits to his credit, the recent one being his certification as a National Geographic Educator. He is a published writer, a passionate traveler, and an avid reader. He is a resource person for Collins, and he is also the reviewer of Collins Academic Resources for CAIE English. Welcome, Mr. Abhinandan.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kavita.
Miss Aarti Kanungo. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing your name correctly. The first proud Delhi government school teacher. She's been selected among top 50 finalists of Global $1 million Global Teacher Prize 2019 from 179 countries. She was honored by the Ministry of Education, India for CBSE Teachers Award 2020. She's intrinsically motivated, passionate, and dedicated with a bouquet of innovative ideas. She's particularly adept at making teaching joyful and interactive and focuses on the social and emotional well-being of her students. Her ability to actively communicate and collaborate with people help in knitting strong connections with the community. Her exemplary services in breaking the myths related to menstruation and inspiring the lives of community, especially adolescent girls, is commendable. She was honored at various international and national platforms for her contribution in SDGs. Her motto is to spread smiles and happiness everywhere. Welcome, Ms. Aarti. Our next panelist is Ms. Reshma Arif Sheikh, School Coordinator, J.V. Parekh International School, Primary and Secondary Checkpoint Examination in charge for the last 5 years, IGCSE Examination in charge since the last 3 years, teaching IGCSE Economics since last 6 years, acted as the MISA Facilitator for Economics subject in July 2017. She's handled the School Enterprise Challenge 2014-15, in which her school was declared global winner for stage 2 and won $2,000 as cash prize. Welcome, Ms. Reshma. I'm glad that we're all together here and we will begin this thought,
Thank you.
this voice for teachers. Okay. A great teacher is a peace educator by instinct, making students introspect and be sensitive. Miss Aditi, we begin with you. What do you think is the role of a teacher in peace education? You're on mute.
Yes. So, thank you for that question, Kavita. I think from ancient times, we all know that teachers have been always ambassadors of peace. Okay, she or he, she's all the one who makes a culture for peace in the class through casual interactions, how the student speaks, casual interactions, as well as, she creates an environment right from allowing the students to allow the other person to talk, or teaching them values that everyone's opinion is important. Also, it may be right from a history class, or to when the teacher is discussing about all the different world peace leaders, how they've helped in, there's World Nobel Prize winners, how they actually have brought in difference to the society, to India or to the country. So this particular idea or importance, which gives every student the chance to respect others' opinion, this was what I think is the aim of peace education as well, wherein it is that everyone is educated to prevent prevent conflicts, to avoid to avoid violence, to teach students how tolerance is important, how we should allow the others also to speak and listen, equality to all of them. Everyone should get a chance. That is what we need to discuss and inculcate in students, so that that particular culture of peace starts in the classroom, I feel.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your response. Yes, I agree with
Yes.
you. You need to give children a chance to speak and introspect and also respect each other's opinions. And I think a teacher plays a great role over there because she's in charge. He's in charge of setting the stage for that dialogue to happen. Yes, you're very true. There are many reasons to believe that increased educational opportunity and achievement lead to social progress. And education is about unleashing of human capabilities. Social, political, and cultural issues must be addressed alongside the delivery of education. Mr. Abhinandan, the next question is to you. What is your view on the same?
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much. I believe this is a crucial point of discussion over here. We Something that I always begin with, and I always tell my students, my colleagues, my peers, is that we need to learn how to differentiate education from being mere literates. So the element of education is quite far-fetched. You can be literate, but you may be still absolutely uneducated. Whereas you may be uneducated, maybe you do not know the basic skills of life, but you're highly literate. Okay, so there are skills. These are the differences, and these are the ramifications that are reflected as a result of our social, political, and the cultural biases that we have. So it's very important, first and foremost, to teach our generation and to ourselves first to rise above all kinds of bias, not to be victims of any kind of bias, which is something very important. You might be having your own social affiliations, you might be having your own political affiliations. And why I say it's very crucial to inculcate these values in education today is let the children, as so many of our panelists are mentioning that, it's very important for our children and the voice of the nation, the future voice of the nation, to understand their importance, to understand their duties and responsibilities, and to understand their element of existence, or rather peaceful coexistence, with respect to the social, cultural, and political issues. How do we expect our learners to go ahead with life when they're blind to what is happening around them?
Correct.
If they do not know political ramifications of the country, how the COVID cases are being tackled, how, as a result of the indiscriminate, Shahi Snan at UP in Kumbh, because of that, how the cases are skyrocketing, the cases are proliferating, and how the human society is at threat. If I do not know the cultural issues, for example, staying in India, we have various cultural pockets and cultural affiliations. So as educators, I believe it's our prime role to allow our children the opportunity to have that kind of international mindedness, to help them be mindful about what they are, their role in this world, not just as a particular region or country, but as global citizens.
Right.
For that, it's extremely important for all the social, political, and cultural issues to be embedded in our education profile.
Right. You're so right over there. We need to teach our children mindfulness about what's happening in their country, because only then they'll be able to identify the issues which are actually at large, some things which they can connect with. And you're so right. We need to address those biases, those stereotypes. We need to break them so that it becomes easy for the child to make a decision when he's growing up. So true, so true. Well, there are 415 million children worldwide right now living in war zones and areas of conflict. That's almost 18%, or 1 in 6 of all the world's children. The number of conflicts around the world has more than doubled in the last 25 years. If the purpose of teaching about war is to understand the past in order to prevent repetition in the future, the purpose of teaching peace is to create that future. Ms. Reshma, the question is to you now. Is war the right way to make peace? How has teaching of history helped in refuting this statement?
Thank you, Kavita. That's an interesting question which I got. To actually begin with, I want to tell you that war itself is a state of conflict. So how do you think that can lead to peace building? I must, reiterate what Peter was talking about. Continuously, he kept on mentioning about conflict. So the issue here is conflict resolution. So conflict resolution becomes very, very important here. And there are positive and negative ways of resolving these conflicts. Often conflict is considered to be, a very negative term, often associated with disputes and fear and violence and wars and all of that. But if you have to actually look at the positive ways of handling conflict, it can actually lead to personal and social growth. But as far as war is concerned, history has given us n number of examples that it cannot bring peace. Let's talk about the famous world wars, the two world wars. Did they bring peace to the warring nations, to the disputing nations? They did not. In fact, it is often said that the seeds of Second World War were sown when, the peace treaty of the First World War was signed. The kind of humiliation that Germany had to go through, okay, it created that dispute amongst Germans, which they wanted to take a revenge. And World War ended not because the countries were wanting to build peace. It ended because the countries ended up using all of their resources. They all got exhausted. And they wanted the time to rejuvenate, come back, and then again come back in a state of war, because their main conflict was never resolved. And which actually happened, which actually led to Second World War. By that time, Germany had the power to come back. Germany wanted to take the revenge of the peace treaty that was signed, the war reparations that Germany was made to pay. The other nations wanted to take a revenge from Germany for everything else that Germany did. And then towards the end, what it led to, even World War II, what it led to, it just led to destruction and despair. And then the thinking came, amongst the people, that you have to look at positive ways of dealing with conflict. And then you have the birth of United Nations. Then people started thinking about alternative ways of discussions and negotiations and arbitrations and political and economic agreements in order to deal with conflicts and bring about peace.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, Ms. Reshma, you're so right.
Yeah.
All these examples we have right in our history books, where we can actually share with children and make them aware that war is not the right way to bring peace. And we have examples in the textbook. So making them aware of these things are very, very important to our children, because our children are willing to listen if we allow them to listen, which I think is a very important skill, which Mr. Peter also mentioned about, listening to them. Well, children and youth are actually peacemakers, and they are better able to solve problems, get along with others, and create a positive atmosphere. This is not about avoiding conflict entirely. By avoiding conflict is not possible all the time, or being compliant, disengaged, or coerced into behaving in a certain way. So we need to have some kind of problem-solving skills. Ms. Aarti, my next question is to you. How can problem-solving skills, in particular, help in building this?
Thank you so much, Kavita. I am really, really thankful to each and everyone here. And when I'm listening to Mr. Peter, Abhinandan, Aditi, Reshma, I was so thrilled in the sense that my students, they are actually doing mindfulness. My students, they are actually expressing their views. My students, they are actually being listened to. What I'm talking about is is the happiness curriculum. Like we all know about this happiness curriculum. This has given a beautiful, beautiful platform to each and every child, to each and every teacher, to each and every educator, I would say, that we have to grow ourselves, grow the skills of life, the life skills. That is the problem solving skill. To solve any problem, any conflict, we have to first understand, observe that issue, that problem, that situation. And for that, we have to communicate, to talk to listen to each and every person. What we expect from our students is that you should listen to us for your whole school life. But when you are out of your school, you should have a say of your own. This is not possible. If we are not giving a chance to our kids to listen, so that we listen to them in the classroom, how are they going to inculcate this habit? This habit can only be inculcated. It cannot be taught. And for this, we have to give chance to each and every child. The child sitting on the last bench, he or she should be able to express their feelings. If we are talking about peace, peace does not only mean that there should be no war between the countries. Peace means that there should be no war within ourselves. There should be no conflict within ourselves. And for this, self-reflection is really, really very important. And this opportunity is given by this happiness curriculum, that my kids, they are able to reflect their own actions. We are not teaching them that this is right and this is wrong. You should do this. This word should. That is not used in our happiness curriculum. What we actually do is just listen to your heart. Reflect upon your own actions. What you think about this particular scene, about this particular situation. We give them the opportunities to empathize, to communicate with each other. And when they communicate with us as teachers, with their peers, and with each and everyone, and when they communicate with themselves, they get to know that what is right and what is wrong. And just because of this happiness curriculum, I would say, the students are able to build a very beautiful relationship. And it has, like, many incidents we have seen, like previously when we used to go to class, the students used to complain, ma'am, she is sitting on my seat, he is sitting on my seat, she has taken my pencil box, one thing is missing or another thing is missing. But now, when they are self-reflecting, when they are developing these problem-solving skills, these complaints that has reduced, I would say. The kids are now developing a beautiful personality, I would say, and they are moving towards the path of peace, I would say. And one more thing I would like to add on. Am I having some time?
Yes, you may continue.
I am working on the topic of breaking the taboo of menstruation. And we all know that a lot of myths and superstitious beliefs are attached to this menstruation. And my students, like my girl students, they used to feel ashamed or hesitant to talk about it. But just because of this happiness curriculum, development of life skills in the students, they are able to discuss it openly. I'm so proud of my girls that they even discussed about this menstruation and periods on Radio City as well. So definitely, when we are giving the students a chance to talk, express their feelings, then definitely there are no conflicts, and gradually they'll build a true community, a global community where there is peace and harmony everywhere. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was so nice to hear about your happiness curriculum, which gives your students a chance to reflect And based on their reflections, they can come up with problem solving skills, which are very, very necessary for our students for this day and date. Yes,
Exactly.
let's move on to the next question. Miss Reshma, my question is to you now. Miss Reshma, what are the strategies? Now, she's spoken about happiness curriculum. What do you think are the strategies required to build peace in classrooms? What is your take on that?
See, my take on peace as a concept, peace can happen only when we are able to resolve conflicts. And it's very essential for today's generation to have this skill of conflict resolution. Most of the things what everybody has been talking about, being empathetic or being ready to listen to students and allow them to speak in the class. Few things that I had actually done being a humanities teacher in my history and my economics classes, just to give you two examples for that matter. We in history classes, when we would discuss battles and wars and disputes and all of that, after we had discussed the causes, the consequences as to what had happened and how it led to this and what were the consequences of it, I used to ask the children, okay, we are not looking at war or battles or violence as a mean of resolving this problem. So there is an issue between these two countries that we saw in the war, or there had been an issue between these two regions in the battle which we learned. Now I am giving you an opportunity to tell me, if you had been in a position, how do you think you would have resolved this without resorting to violence, without resorting to war? And it's fantastic to see the kind of approaches and various alternatives that children provide you with, because you have already given them and shown them the repercussions that these violent battles and wars could lead to. And they don't agree with that. And that plays a very, very important role. Put them in a scenario and ask them that, how else do you think you would have resolved this situation? My second example is to help them understand as to how conflicts can create disturbances and unhappiness for all the parties concerned. Well, in economics, we often do a condition of equilibrium and disequilibrium. So I often associate conflict with a condition of disequilibrium, and peace as a situation of equilibrium in the economy. So the moment there is disequilibrium, neither the consumers nor the producers or the economy or the government is in a happy position. It does not benefit anybody. So you come back, you make choices, and you come back to an equilibrium position, which becomes agreeable to all the stakeholders. It leads to a win-win situation to all the stakeholders and all the parties concerned. This is something which is very, very essential for our children to understand, to be able to create a win-win situation wherein they are able to give up something of their own so that they also benefit. At the same time, it creates benefiting effects for others as well. So these are few things which I implement, and it really helps to create a better environment, a better learning model in a classroom setup.
Empowering students to come up with solutions is, I think, a really good strategy to bring peace in classrooms. I'm sure all of us, all panelists and all teachers are also observing it, will really agree with you on this. It's a kind of relationship you are building in a classroom which helps your children. You're empowering them with the same. Well, relationships are the positive connections between students, adults, and peers in the school setting that foster positive social interaction and establish a nurturing environment of trust and support, thus sowing the seeds of peaceful coexistence. Ms. Aditi, in what way can we teach students to improve relationships with their community?
Okay, that's a nice question, Kavita. Of course, we know man is a social animal, right? We cannot live, one cannot live, or a human being cannot live by himself. He's having association with all the different things. Maybe, they've got friends in class, friends in school, friends outside, but then we are connected. All of us, we need to tell them, obviously they are aware that we are all connected with each other. No one can stay aloof. So to bring this about, I can give you a few examples which we already do at school, rather, to keep them connected, how important it is, to keep about the community and welfare of the society. Like how we would be having, of course, in the non-COVID situations, I can give you the examples. we were having the beach cleanup drive, you know. They must have never, I think, we are coming from some of our students are coming from such kind of background, they must have never cleaned their own room. But then, you know, they were very enthusiastic and they saw the importance of cleaning the beaches. For that matter, even we have, even in spite of the pandemic, we did have the climate action project, which Kavita ma'am, you know, saw that all of the students were sensitized towards it. It may be a small thing like just planting a tree. It may be a small thing like how they would be reusing, recycling. They had made beautiful videos how exactly they would be utilizing things which could be of no use, and thus saving a lot of litter and waste which would be going into the environment.
Correct.
Not only that, we are speaking about, you know, how we can donate. This is a time where donation is very, very important. And while we are donating, we have to see that the other person doesn't feel offended by it. It should be done in such a way that it should be done very, very nicely and neatly. Maybe, you know, it may be the clothes, it may be books, the storybooks, the textbooks, or maybe even toys.
Right.
How you give it. For the, our children made beautiful lanterns, lamps, and they were made very nicely, and we saw that they gave it to the people. They moved on. That time, during that time, we were thinking of even opening schools during the October November month. We were thinking the schools could reopen. We were all positive towards it, and a little bit of Diwali fever, so we did all that. In fact, during the Christmas time, we were encouraging students to help others, wherein of course we know that the economic conditions have gone down because of the pandemic. So how we could help the society, how you could connect the society. Amidst this, we did visit a school at Palghar. There is a MAD curriculum. There's a association called as MAD, and how they make a difference. So giving textbooks, giving books to the students. So that's all. When we go there and the student is connected, then he is able to understand that we are an integral part. There are so many students of our age who are deprived of things, and that's when I think when they realize that we are the blessed ones, and how important giving is a joy, how important you feel, how good you feel, how happy. Like now how Miss Aarti said, that's what even I was thinking of in my mind. Happiness in giving, joy in giving, that's what we taught, and that's how we are supposed to be connected. If the other person is happy, you feel happy. That's what has to be inculcated in our students. And we also have a school enterprise challenge, just like some other school also spoke of it, wherein we were trying to get things, wherein, you know, we would get it from the students would get things from home, maybe the bed sheets, etc. We would make good useful items out of it. And during our open house or any other where the parents would be involved in the school, you would see that the students would sell it. The benefit was given to the different societies. Even for that matter, SUPW, you would take our students to the old age home or the orphanage, where they know how important it is, you know, to have parents. Orphanage, they don't have, you know, giving, sharing and giving joy. I think that's how are different little examples which we could put forth for students and give the importance of being connected with the community. Yes,
Right.
thank
So
you.
right. Yes, you're so right over there, because I think in giving is the joy of receiving also. And that is where we sow the seeds of a peaceful coexistence. You're so right. And you spoke about climate change. Well, climate change is upon us, and its physical effects have started to unfold. My next question is to Ms. Aarti. What kind of threat do you think climate change poses to peace?
Uh, Actually, I think we all are thinking that climate change is just an environmental issue, but actually not. It is affecting each and every aspect of our world, I would say, be it geography, be it political, be it economic, be it social, emotional, every aspect. Because when we are talking about the temperature rising, the global warming, when we are talking about the dried rivers, then we are having food scarcity, then we are having hunger, then we are having poverty. and then we are forcing the people to migrate from one place to another.
Right.
There is forced migration. Refugees are there. And then there are conflicts between the nations. So previously what we were all thinking, that just increasing the temperature, the word temperature is increasing, that is that can be controlled, that can be we should act upon, we should do this and we should do that. But now we have to think on the effects and the harmful consequences of this climate change,
Right.
on all the aspects of our world.
Right.
So because of this poverty, because of this hunger, the people are not getting the resources properly. They are fighting to get those resources, just to get a glass of clean, fresh water. That creates a lot of, I would say, fights among people, fights among nations. If one nation is using the resources and other is not getting it.
Right. Right.
This is the issue. So when we are talking about this climate change, it's really very important that all the nations across the globe, they have to collaborate and strengthen themselves. Themselves, I hear, means not just their own country. They have to strengthen this whole world, this earth, this globe, I would say. Just because we want peace, we want harmony. Right. And I'm when I'm talking about this, I'm so getting emotional by this, that we are thinking that let the other people die due to poverty. They are not getting food. It's okay, but I am getting enough food in my plate. But I'm going to say just one thing. If you are ignoring that issue, that problem of that person, then you are doing a wrong, because this is a boomerang. It will definitely come back to you.
Yes, it's a boomerang effect.
It's really important that we have to be sensitive. We have to strengthen ourselves, because we have to survive, actually live on this earth.
True that. What you're saying is absolutely true. Some studies have suggested that a rise in global temperature of 0.5 degrees Celsius is associated on average with a 10 to 20% heightened risk of a deadly conflict. If that estimate is accurate, the future is worrying. Hence, dialogue is so essential. And when we talk about dialogue, we talk about language. Language plays a central role in defining and constructing the meaning in this world. It is the fuel to empower our desires and to direct and align our energy. My last question is to Mr. Abhinandan. How can we use language to empower ourselves and others in this peace process?
Oh my God. Okay. So I think as a teacher of English language, I will not embark in that particular department as of now. Haven't we been doing the same thing since the beginning of this Zoom meeting? We have been using language as such an important tool to coordinate with each other, to share our experiences, to share our thoughts. So language is, I think, all pervasive, irrespective of the kind of language. It's not that it needs to be English language or Hindi or Spanish or German or French. I think the most crucial part is even how you use your body language to make others feel. Whether you want to lift them or whether you want to drown them. I'll narrate a small incident. I'm a traveler. I travel a lot. So people who know me, yeah, this Kavita is smiling. I travel extensively. And 2 weeks back, I returned from Ladakh. I was on a seven-day trip to Ladakh. It so happened, we reached Nubra Valley. It's a part of, it's a distant, it's a 3-hour, 4-hour drive from Leh city. So in Nubra, around this time of the year, it's minus 14 degrees centigrade. And I know each one of us, in India or in other parts of the world, wherein the temperature is at a different level, soaring, you might not be able to experience minus 14 degrees centigrade as of now. But what minus 14 degrees centigrade is all about? You can actually get levels of hypothermia. Now, in Nubra Valley, while we were reaching the hotel, we saw little children with their sacks tied down their head, and the school children, they were walking uphill and they were going to their houses. The moment we reached the hotel, we were invited with some kind of information that there'll be no power and no electricity after 10 o'clock in the night. And even the room heaters will not be made available. And that's exactly what happens in Nubra Valley all throughout. So basic amenity like electricity is not available to that little district in Nubra Valley after 10 p.m. So nothing is available. So you are engulfed in absolute darkness. As tourists, we were very shocked. We also asked, so when will the power resume? So we were told it will come in the morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. just for 2 hours. So we need to recharge the battery, to charge your phone batteries and stuff, you have to do in that time. And so we were quite shocked. We were like, we traveled for 5 hours and now we are exhausted. And despite that, we asked the question to those people, how do you manage? How do the children study? No Wi-Fi, nothing. So by 10 o'clock, after 10 o'clock, they cannot study. You know what? What they responded? Sir, we love our lives. That moment I felt that people who do not have so many things are talking about, they're not complaining. They are so peaceful about things. They are using the resources available to them in the best possible manner. And we people in the plains, at times, despite having every single luxury item or maybe every comfortable item to make our lives so pleasant, we tend to complain. We tend to, bicker a lot about things. So my basic, the bottom line understanding over here is, who ruins our peace? We ourselves.
Right.
It's our thought, it's our own understanding and interpretation of situations.
Right.
And there's constant conversation that goes on happening in our brains. We are at war with ourselves. We are having some kind of language that we try to rise against, or we try to have some kind of debate with always. I mean, that's exactly what is happening around us. And believe me, to live in peace, I do not know when that's going to materialize, but we are certainly living in a world which is wrecked in pieces. So we need to, join these fragments, these little pieces, and create that beautiful canvas, which might be peaceful someday.
True that, true that. Peace education is important for everyone, but particularly for children who are still building their identity and the values they hold. When we teach children to be peaceful, as Mr. Abhinandan rightly said, our mindset, we are reinforcing positive role models for them. When this happens, the impact creates a ripple effect in the communities, as Ms. Aarti mentioned, the effect which comes back, and the beauty of the relational nature of peace education is exposed. What you give, you will receive. With these thoughts, I hand over our closing session to Ms. Kavita Sanghvi for closing the summit and giving the vote of thanks. Over to you, Ms. Kavita Sanghvi.
Thank you so much. And I really wish to thank all of you, because you have given such amazing inputs. I mean, to talk about conflict resolution. I think when Peter was talking about the situation at Belfast, it really brought tears to my eyes too. And asking them that please let them speak and then listen to them. Let them open up. That's all that we need to do. Just give them that time to speak. And when you were talking about the happiness curriculum, when Reshma spoke about how history, ultimately nations gave up war because they did not have resources. It's not that they wanted peace. And when Abhinandan shared the story about this, about being in pieces, and a beautiful story that we spoke about in Leh Ladakh, it all tells me that every individual, all of you all, everybody is wanting peace, but they just don't know how to go about getting that peace, and they don't want to make that sacrifice to get that peace. So sacrifice is something that we need to show, and how is it that we're going to maintain a balance within us is what a direction that we need to give our students. So thank you to everyone, and thank you to Chanchal for this wonderful Peace Summit, because honestly, there was a lot to take away from the wonderful teachers across the globe. You all are our shining light. Thank you so much, and thank you from CNM School.
Kavita ji
you,
and
everyone.
all
Thank
the
you so much.
panelists, though thank you note has been given by Kavita, but I really congratulate and appreciate each one of us for this wonderful takeaway and insights which are shared here. And meanwhile, I was listening to all. I just designed, the real meaning of school. Right now, I have shaped something here, which I would like to share with all, if you will permit me. Kavita ji, is
Yeah,
the
sure,
permission
sure, sure.
granted? Okay. So, like Abhinandan sir, like I heard Reshma ma'am, Aditi ma'am, and one more, Aarti ji. So, there are so many things which were, and then of course, Sir Peter. Um, it was all about peace, conflict resolving, then about, love, what you do, and whatever you have, and then taking away from. This is Reshma ji told about like conflict resolving, and Aditi ma'am about the role of teacher in building peace, right? So there's a question in my mind as well, that do we ever talk to our children what is actually school and why are they sent to school? Did we talk to our parents ever that they should have this question to their children? Why are they sent to school? 99% children, they have only one answer: to study. And that is why they keep themselves away from the schools. Why it is happening? Because we have designed that in a way that we are covering up syllabus, we are giving them only the lessons or the text, or we are teaching them just what is there, which is called knowledge, imparting knowledge. So if we make those lessons simple in our style, keeping our thoughts which can be easily taken, to make things comfortable for them, because something which is comfortable for us may not be comfortable on the other side. So we need to accept that difference also. If we can create such strategies, like one of our panelists shared about the happy curriculum. Very right. If we have that happy curriculum, every child will be interested to come to school, will be interested to listen to the teacher. If you want others to listen, that yes, of course, we have a smile. We should adopt some humor, some fun to create. We need to have that. Then, if we talk about the holistic approach, H of the school, holistic approaches with head, heart, and hand, believe me, you will create that passion and compassion as well, and which is very, very necessary to make them understood that they should have attitude, they should have gratitude in their actions. Then about the optimistic, they need to be, because we cannot say that negativity will not be there around us. They will. Life is such, somewhere weak, somewhere strong. So we need to accept it. But then we need to know that art, how to change those adversities to opportunities, that negativities to positivity. That art we need to teach to our children. And we can. It's not difficult at all. If we teach them, if we tell them the realities, that what we do rightly, just lastly spoken by Kavita ma'am, that if we teach them, if we tell them that what we do today is actually our future endeavor, and what we did yesterday we will getting today. So it's all predestined, which we said. It's nothing God is destined, it's we destined. So we need to correct our karmas. Believe me, if you tell your children a story of this, that what you do today will be gotten by you tomorrow, and what you did yesterday, you will be getting it today. So they will be afraid of that, those evils, and they will not repeat it. They will not repeat any more such evils. Peace is very, very far away from, conflict resolving and all steps, all struggles, all hardships. It is, besides all this is happening around, we stay calm, we stay focused with our mission and vision. That state is peace, and that we are going to bring as educators. Very rightly said by Abhinandan sir, that we need to join those pieces from fragments and make it a wonderful art of peace. And sir, I let you know that we all together, with our efforts, with our endeavors, with our ideas, with our ideology, creativity, we will bring that. We will make that art. Thank you so much. I think that it's all whatever it was there with me, and I just shared with all of you, and you will also think about it, and will use it somewhere if it can be. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.